Is that another letter? All right, Mrs. Keiper's class wrote again. Okay. Dear George, could you please teach my class about the Boston Massacre? Kipes, you got it, babe. Here we go. Welcome to another session of Ask George with me, your host, George Washington. Today, Mrs. Keiper's asked me to talk to you about the Boston Massacre. So let's get started. Just like usual, there are some words for you to code, so get those highlighters ready. Here we go. Fun fact, my teeth are gross. I always struggled with toothaches, and by the time I get to 57 years old, I just decide to rip all of my teeth out and get them replaced by these dentures, these exact dentures in this photo. They're not going to be held in place with rubber or foam or polygrip like today. Instead, they're going to be held in place by this old metal denture set. The teeth themselves, these are going to be made up of ivory and other bone. Code word, massacre. A massacre is defined as the violent killing of many people. All right, so now that you know what a massacre is, it's time to set the scene. By 1770, again, big tensions really running high between the colonists and the British soldiers and the British government. We know this. Let's recap. French and Indian War, Sugar Act, Stamp Act, Proclamation of 1763. Now you have the Committees of Correspondence established in every colony. So remember, this means that different groups of people who are trying to oppose the king are sending letters back and forth for ways to kind of resist that influence. Colonists are not enjoying these heavy taxes that they're having to pay on things. They're going broke. They're starting to make counterfeit items, and they're trying to boycott and avoid taxation from the king. So tensions in the city of Boston, Boston and Massachusetts, are running very high. You have some pretty extremist patriots in this territory. You also have a lot of British soldiers stationed in this town as well. British soldiers had been occupying the city against colonists' wishes because, remember, the king decided to send troops there to keep the peace. But again, imagine being a colonist back then. The king sending soldiers to keep the peace means he doesn't trust you. So there had been several small skirmishes between British soldiers and angry colonists for a month. What's a skirmish? Code word, skirmish. A skirmish is a fight among a small group of people. Usually skirmishes are unplanned or spontaneous. But all you need to know is that a skirmish is a fight among a small group of people. On March 5th, 1770, a crowd of colonists confronted 8 British soldiers on the streets of Boston. To confront someone just means to argue or speak with them face to face. The colonists insulted and threatened the soldiers. Some of the colonists provoked the soldiers by throwing snowballs, sticks, stones, and calling them lobster scoundrels. British soldiers, pictured on the left, were known as lobsterbacks, and later were nicknamed lobster scoundrels by colonists who didn't like them. A scoundrel is kind of a derogatory, insulting name for someone that you don't like. Their uniforms were bright red, which is where the nickname came from, just like a lobster. When one soldier was hit by a flying object, he fired his gun, his musket. Purposefully or accidentally, we really don't know. Although the British soldier's captain continued to yell, "Hold your fire, hold your fire," several muskets or guns were fired into the crowd of colonists. When the smoke cleared and the dust settled, 4 colonists lay dead, and many more were seriously hurt. Now, John Adams was a really outspoken patriot back then, but he was also a really fair and just man. Don't confuse John Adams with Sam Adams. Remember, Sam Adams is the one that starts the Committees of Correspondence, but this is John Adams. He's actually his second cousin. Spoiler alert, John Adams is going to become president after I become president, but we don't know that yet. John Adams was actually somebody who came into defense of the British soldiers, and he said, listen, I think that these guys were provoked. I think they're innocent. And colonists were like, what? Johnny, you're on the wrong side, bro. And he was like, I'm sorry. I'm going to fight for what's right and what's fair, and I think that these British soldiers are innocent. So he goes to trial, he defends them, and they end up being found innocent. 6 are let free, and 2 are let free after being branded on the thumbs. Branded on the thumbs means you get like hot metal and you press it on the skin. It leaves a scar in like a symbol, kind of like a tattoo. You have it forever. And their brand was the symbol for manslaughter, which is just the legal term for killing someone. Right? So in the end of the day, contrary to its name, the Boston Massacre, not really a massacre. Why would they call it that? Propaganda! Patriots came up with the name Boston Massacre because it sounds more dramatic than it is, right? And once word spread throughout the colonies that there were these crazy British soldiers unleashing fire into innocent crowds of colonists, then, support for the colonial patriot movement really, really, really picked up. Then support for the patriot cause continued to grow, and resistance to the British government skyrocketed. Okay? So that's everything that you need to know about the Boston Massacre. Again, any questions, I'm sure Keips can help you out. Until next time, this has been Ask George, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.